Hi everyone, welcome back to my channel. This is Exodias Light, and today I have a very exciting palette to show you. I recently received in the mail my Glamlite Ice-cream Dream Palette, and I'm so excited to share with you everything about this palette. It is seriously so beautiful, so let's jump right into it. To start off, this palette retails for $45. That's before taxes and shipping. And it has 30 shades inside of the palette. So there are 14 shimmer shades as well as 16 mattes. Now, with shipping, I think my palette took about 18 days to process. That's not including weekends. So about 2.5 weeks. Oh no, 3 weeks. That's about 3 weeks. A long time. But it was so worth the wait. So it took about 18 days to process, and then it took another 7 days once the label was created. So in all, it took about a month and a week or so to get here to me, which isn't necessarily a bad thing. She did state that it was a really huge launch, so shipping was going to take kind of a good amount of time. They're not very far from where I'm located, so they're in California. So typically I see products from California within 3 to 5 business days. That's not including processing time. If I include processing time, it's about a week. But I mean, I still feel like it was worth the wait. It's definitely a palette I don't have in my collection, and it had a lot of colors that I found personally really unique, and I think I'll get a lot of use out of. Glamlite does offer international shipping for a flat rate of $16.99 if that is something that interests you. They did state on their website that if it's over 3 pounds, then the rate will be different. So it does adjust at that point. So let's talk about the product. First, I'll show you the palette here. This is the beautiful Glamlite Ice-cream Dream Palette. It is honestly so stunning. The box it came in was a cute little ice cream truck. Sadly, I do not have it anymore because my children took it over. They've been using it as like their own little prop and toy, and they absolutely love it, but it is super cute. I'll go ahead and post a picture on the screen somewhere, or maybe just in the clip so you can see exactly what I'm talking about. Katsuki! I have been playing a lot with this palette. For me, it's a good sign that I love a palette when I start using my watercolor or water activated eyeliners. I love playing with those. So if I'm reaching for a palette and using the mirror on it to do that, like, I'm getting used, right? But let's go ahead and show you the shadows. It is honestly so beautiful, and I feel like on the video you're getting pretty true to color representation. So you have a lot of beautiful foiled shimmery shadows. A lot of these tones right here, these like bronze taupish tones, definitely have different undertones to them. For instance, what I'm wearing on my eyelids today are this guy right here, which is peanut butter. And then I have, let's see, this is Rocky Road, French vanilla. And then all I did was just kind of throw on peanut butter all over the lid, topped it off with some Rocky Road. On the inner corner, I do actually have a mix of French vanilla and lemon. I love this lemon shade. It is just stunning. Okay. Give my camera a second to try and focus in on this. So here's the shade Lemon. It is such a gorgeous, honestly, lemon shade eyeshadow. It has a very beautiful metallic finish, as you can see. The metallics in this palette do have a glitter to them, which is, that's something you do not like in a metallic formula. This might not be the palette for you, but as someone who absolutely cannot stand glitter for everyday wear, I enjoy these so much. I feel that once they're placed on the eyes, they stay put and they are not moving anywhere. As far as the formulation for these shadows go, all of the mattes perform very beautifully. My only complaint would be that I do find that I have to be very careful with how much I put on my eyes. It's not necessarily the palette's problem. It's more of a user problem. I'm used to eyeshadows being a little more dry and kind of skippy. So these shadows blend out very beautifully, a little too well for me. So I do find that I am over blending. With that being said, if you are not someone who blends like crazy like I do, you might find this palette to be incredibly useful, especially if you're a beginner, which is always a great thing. After using this palette for a few looks, I definitely have gotten the hang of blending these shadows out. So to me, it's not necessarily a make or break for the palette. Now, I do want to mention that I have eczema prone skin. I do get eczema in my T-zone and on my eyelids, especially during winter months. It's just something that happens. It's hormonal and environment induced. However, I do find that these shadows actually do not irritate my eyes. Now, when it comes to like vegan formulations or dyed formulations, when it comes to eyeshadow, I do find that my eyes will get very itchy. Or with shimmers, my eyes will get really itchy, irritated. They'll water up a lot. And I have not had that problem yet with these eyeshadows, which I'm incredibly thankful for, because when it comes to bright, beautiful colors, it is really hard not to get that like without dyes. So if you do have sensitive skin or sensitive eyes, that is something to keep in mind. As far as the eyeshadows and their performance, I do want to bring something up. So I do use the ABH eyeshadow primer. I absolutely hate it. It's definitely not a product I love. However, I do use it as a mixing medium with my Makeup Revolution Prime and Lock eyeshadow primer for certain eyeshadow formulations. When it comes to shimmers, I definitely stay away from the ABH one because it is a very dry matte primer that can emphasize texture on my eyes. But with that being said, I did use this palette with both that primer and my Prime and Lock, and I have found that it works really well if I use one or the other. If I use them together, it works great too, but at the same time, I think that it just doesn't seem to get along. My eyes started to break down product right where my eyes crease naturally, because I do have slightly hooded eyes, as you can tell. So I will insert some photos here of what my makeup looked like towards the end of the day. Do not mind the eyeliner. I'm testing a new eyeliner out, and I absolutely hate it. But that's besides the point. So we're going to go ahead and insert those photos right now. As you can see, I did start to get some wear down right in the center when I did that pastel look. I'm not entirely sure what had happened that day. I think it might have been a mix of not being able to set my makeup with my normal setting spray. So I feel like that might be a little bit part of the problem. It could have been that I had sunscreen on my eyelids that just hadn't settled down yet. I'm not entirely sure, but it did break down, and that was kind of unfortunate. With that being said, though, with all the other makeup looks I have created, the eye makeup stays all day. So I'm going to call that a natural fluke. All right, my actual thoughts on the palette. I think this is definitely a big bang for your buck if you do not have these eyeshadows. This is my first palette from Glamlite, and a lot of people were comparing it to the Cake palette, and I didn't know what that was because I don't have it and I've never used Glamlite shadows before. So upon review and looking at both palettes, I still feel like there's a really big difference. However, I don't have the other palette to really show you that. Another note to make is that I feel the Cake palette just doesn't speak to me. That's definitely a personal thing, but it just didn't have what I would want in a pastel neutral palette, right? I feel like this really plays well. The warm neutrals play really well with the pastels, especially when it comes to blending out. I've created a few looks that I did not record, but I will post, and if you are interested in seeing a makeup tutorial on any of those looks, just let me know. So one day in my makeup look, I decided to use chocolate black cherry mixed in a little bit of raspberry, and then I decided to toss in this beautiful, beautiful yellow, which is called mango. And it gave a really gorgeous grungy effect. I feel like that right there shows me that this palette definitely has a lot of versatility to it, because if your shadows can blend together so well to the point where they're creating practically whole new shadows, that is like a major plus for me, because I don't mind if my shadows mix, it's how they mix, and that's definitely something to keep in mind. The pastel shades in this palette do not seem to have a very strong white base, which is great because it shows you that beautiful pastel effect without necessarily being ashy or dry on the skin. All right, so I'm going to go ahead and swatch all of these eyeshadows for you, and then we will start right into the makeup tutorials. All right, we're going to go ahead and start swatching. So right here is the shade Chocolate. Black Cherry. Red Velvet, which I would definitely call a pink red. Pumpkin. French Vanilla. French Vanilla is definitely a true icy white. It does not have much warmth to it. With that being said, I feel like this is a very flattering icy shade. All right, on to the second row. This is Butter Pecan, Salted Caramel, and Raspberry. Here's Rocky Road. Rocky Road. Pecan Praline. Oops. And Pecan Praline. All right, here's the third row. Right here you have Taro, Gelato, Cookie Dough, Lemon, and last but not least, Peanut Butter. Gorgeous, right? Honestly, I will never get sick of these eyeshadows. On to the fifth row. Whoops, fourth row. We have Strawberry, Blueberry Cheesecake, Birthday Cake, and Cotton Candy. Of course, we can't forget about Strawberry Cheesecake. On to the fifth row, we have Mochi, which is my favorite type of ice cream, Honey Lavender, Mint Chocolate, Rainbow Sherbet, and Orange Cream. For the sixth and final row, we have Bubblegum, Pistachio, Cookie Monster, add a little bit more because I did not swatch that well. Cookie Monster, Green Tea, And last but not least, Mango. I do want to say that I have incredibly dry arms, even with lotion. So a little bit of that patchiness you were seeing with the first row with the mattes is definitely not the eyeshadow's problem. They're very buttery, very smooth. Honestly, there's not a difference between the neutrals and the pastels as far as formulation goes. At least I don't find that in my palette. They're very buttery and smooth. With that being said, dry skin is dry skin, so it's not going to swatch the best on dry skin. But I'm not going to put lotion on my arms and then swatch because I feel like that would be cheating too, you know? That concludes my thoughts and opinions on this palette. Now let's jump right into the tutorials. Eyebrows are done. We're going to go ahead and continue on with the rest of our face. So I just have my tinted sunscreen on and I'm priming my eyelids. This eyeshadow primer is great if you have dry eyelids, especially those with like sensitive skin. You'll love it. Alright, so the first shade we're going to go in with is actually the shade called Green Tea. And we are going to apply this to the outer third of our eye, packing it in first, and then we'll slowly tap out just to help with the blending process later on. I find that these shadows work really well once you kind of pat it into the eyes and then work your way out. For my crease color, I did go in with Mint Chocolate. It's a little lighter of a teal, and this is just to help buff out the edges of the green tea shade. So that way we can still keep that really pretty green-blue kind of look we got going on, and eventually blend out the inner third of the eye. For the lid, I decided to go in with this really pretty lavender color, and I decided I wanted to put this all over the lid, but I am leaving a little bit of a gap so that way when I go in and blend later on, it will be a lot more seamless. And we're going to go ahead and take a mixture of Mint Chocolate and Cookie Monster and apply this to the inner third of the crease. This is to help buff out that purple just a little bit so there's no harsh lines. But also help with the blending into the crease as well. Kind of wanted to give it a little more dimension, you know? Now we're just going right back into those colors we used before and helping the two colors meet in the center nicely by patting it in and helping it blend out. Now we're going to take these really pretty shimmer shades. They do have glitter in them, so if you don't like glitter, this might be a problem for you, but I really appreciate the formula of this because I feel like it's really versatile. I can use it as a full shimmer shade or like this as a topper for eyeshadow, so that's what we're doing. At this point, honestly, you could just add in your inner corner highlight and finish your lower lash line. I honestly just use the same colors I used for the top as the bottom, and oh yeah, I've got to finish the rest of my face. So that's what I'm showing you right here. I'm going to go ahead and show you all the colors I've used. The only shade I didn't list, because it kind of is an optional thing, was that beautiful shimmery metallic lavender. I put that on the lower lash line. I felt like it really helped tie the look together. Yo, being a mom and trying to be a YouTuber, it's conflicting, you know? I have my husband in the background, I got my kid running around, just typical mom life stuff. But we're gonna go ahead and line our lips, apply our lip color. I did decide that this was a little too deep for my neutral lip, so I do lighten it up with a Wet n Wild lipstick. I'll have it linked down below, as well as all these other products that I've used today. But I'm just blending this all in together, and then that's it. That really completes the look. I left it here because at this point you can add liner, you can put lashes. I honestly just ended up putting on mascara and calling it a day. Okay, for the fall inspired look, I really felt like messing around with some of these reds and oranges, so I decided to go in with the shade Butter Pecan. And I'm going to take this on a slightly fluffy brush. It's a little smaller. We're going to place this on the outer third of the eye. We're just going to pat it in at first and then slowly work our way in, just really diffusing this color. I wanted a nice even blend. So it should look something like this. Grab your favorite blending brush. We're going to go ahead and use this guy right here, and we're going to go ahead and diffuse the edges. I really don't want this to have any harsh lines towards the top, since there really isn't a neutral color for me to place under my brow. So that's what we're doing. I'll go ahead and do the same thing on the other side, and taking the shade Chocolate on a smaller brush, we're going to go ahead and pack this into the outer third of our eye. Now at this point, you could really choose any shape that flatters your eye shape as far as eyeshadow goes. I usually like to define kind of like the outer V of my eye, but it does take me a while because I have hooded eyes. So it's just a matter of playing around and getting the shape you like. But otherwise, these two colors are the colors you want to use. Now take a smaller crease brush, and with the same color we used earlier, Butter Pecan, we're going to go ahead and just diffuse everything off and buff it out. I'm just softening up edges here, and at this point we're going to go ahead and take some Butter Pecan, put that in our inner third, make sure everything's lining up, and then we're going to go in with the shade Chocolate, which is that nice rich dark brown we just used earlier, and we're going to apply this to the inner third of our eye, so that way we can create a really pretty halo effect. And for the star of the show, we're going to go ahead and take Salted Caramel. This is a really beautiful rose gold, a little bit or on the yellow gold side pigment, and we're going to go ahead and apply that to the center of our eyes. I am taking some glitter glue first because I do want this to show up, not just be a topper. So that's what you're seeing right now. It does have a slight kind of iridescence to it, and it's supposed to really help glitters and shimmer formulas pop out, so that way, you know, you can get the most out of your glittery eyeshadows. But this honestly does not need any help. As you can see, it is very pigmented. A little goes a long way, and it's such a gorgeous color. Now going in with a smaller crease brush without any product, we're just going to blend that in, make sure everything looks really nice together. And just go ahead and do the same thing to the other side. Now we're taking Cookie Dough. I love this shade. It looks a lot darker in pan than it does on the eyes, but you're going to go ahead and take this with a small little brush and hit the inner corners. Now I've completed the eye look. I'm going to go ahead and just line my eyes. I'm tight lining and doing a little up top, and you do want to blend out the bottom. And this is the final look. That concludes my review and the tutorials for this eyeshadow palette from Glamlite. If you did enjoy this style of review, please leave a like down below. That lets me know that you enjoyed this video, and leave a comment. That really does make my day to see what you have to say about this palette, how you felt about it, and you know, if you're excited, if it's something that you really don't think you want, I want to hear it down below. I appreciate all of you for taking the time out of your day to watch my video, and I hope you all have a really great week. I'll see you all in my next video. Bye!